Our next guest is a Melbourne-based writer, researcher and historian who has travelled all over our planet but recently released a book about surviving on another one. Please welcome Mr. Guy Murphy. Hey Guy. Welcome.
All right.
Now, how are you? You well?
I'm very well, yes.
Thanks for coming on. We brought you on to talk about this book, which is called Mars, a Survival Guide. Anyone who doesn't know anything about this, how would you explain it?
Well, it's sort of a lonely planet guide for anyone who hasn't been to Mars yet, and it sort of tells you anything you might need to know. Go on. So it tells you everything you need to know. I mean, about how to survive on Mars. It sort of, tells you about how long. I mean, how to get there, how long it takes, what you have to wear when you go outside. Preferably a spacesuit. So
you kind of had me stuck at the how to get there bit. I drive a 1991, I believe it's called a piece of crap wagon. Are we going to be able to get there?
You probably need a bit more than that.
Okay.
You probably need to mount it on a rocket to start off with. Mars is a very long way away. It's 56 to 400 million kilometres. I don't know if you've racked up that much on your car yet.
That's past
Wodonga. That's interstate. Yeah. So you need to basically hop on a rocket and be prepared to travel for sort of 3 to 6 months. So it's quite a long trip.
Okay, cool. They'll be doing Kentucky's there probably in no time, though, sure.
Yeah, well, look, I've been in there already pretty much. So
now, so let's say once we're there, what's the biggest factor that we're going to have to overcome? Is there oxygen? Can we breathe there?
Well, no. The atmosphere is really thin. It's about 1% as sort of dense as Earth's. And it's carbon dioxide, which is poisonous. So you've got to wear a spacesuit with a helmet on all the time, and it's pretty cold as well.
What are we talking temperature-wise?
Or about Antarctica temperature, maybe minus 120 to about mid-20s.
No tanning.
No. Well, there's ultraviolet light as well on the surface, so you don't want to be out too much.
Right.
More melanoma.
Okay. Right. Now, so you've taken this interest in Mars when. Like throughout the book, this is a pretty big interest of yours. When did this start? How did this come about?
Well, it's I've in the Pathfinder lander, which is like a sort of a Mars surface lander, sort of started sending back images. It was in the late 90s, and I remember seeing them on television and thinking that's so cool. And there's been sort of quite a few spacecraft go there, and some have actually landed and worked. And send back a lot of images, and I was quite inspired by that, and also read some science fiction books. Kim Stanley Robertson wrote a series, Red Mars, Green Mars, Blue Mars, which is very imaginative and descriptive.
It is imaginative. He got a bit lazy on the titles, though.
Yes.
So now your book, for those people who are slightly confused, is it more like I'm having trouble, I guess, getting my head around whether this is something that astronauts go, right, I've got my spacesuit, I've got my oxygen, I've got my survival guide, or is this for people who kind of don't know much about this and go, I want to find out more about the planet?
Well, I've sort of written it for the general reader, someone sort of teenage and above who doesn't necessarily know a lot about science, but I've tried to make it really accessible and understandable and keep scary jargon out of it. Not
too many big words. I struggle with big words sometimes. Is there not too many big words in it?
Like three syllables, 4 syllables?
I can do 2.
There's some things in there with italics, is that?
I'll struggle. No, I will. All right. So, say for example, if we get to Mars, are we going to find, is there aliens? Are we going to find aliens?
Well, that's the big question, and that's one of the big reasons for going there, because we think Mars was once a much warmer place with a lot of water on it. And it would all seem right for there to be sort of life emerged. I mean, it's all frozen up now, but a lot of people reckon who have sort of looked at the question think that there's probably life underground.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not going to sort of bounce across the sand dunes and sniff your feet or anything, but it's probably there hiding underground. So,
is there a chance? Luke McGregor asked me to ask you this question. Is there a chance that aliens will be really hot girls?
I think that it's probably going to be brown goo, or sort of.
We'll take anything we can get at the
look at. It depends how desperate you are, really.
And you said in a lot of your kind of videos and stuff that I've seen online that Mars is actually very similar to the Australian outback in a lot of ways. Does that mean bogans?
Well, it sort of looks. The Australian outback's actually really interesting, planetary scientists, because a lot of the sort of things they see when they look at the surface of Mars are the sorts of features you see on Earth in deserts, in places like South Australia and Western Australia and the Northern Territory. So some planetary scientists have actually gone to the outback to study those sorts of places in order to understand what they're seeing on Mars.
Right.
I don't know that they've seen any bogans yet. On Mars.
All right, I was going to say they might be the closest thing to intergalactic life we have. Now, we do have to wrap this up, but I have a game that I would love to play with you. We play with guests that we have on the show. It's called Final Five for the Mystery Prize. It's just some very quick true or false questions. Are you ready to play?
Yes.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Final Five for the Mystery Prize. Just so you know what we have at stake here, the mystery prize tonight is the Bert and Patty Family album. So this is serious. Let's get stuck in. True or false, Guy Murphy? If you fart whilst your space shuttle is launching, you might explode.
True.
True. Telephone calls from Mars will be possible only if you have a new iPhone.
Yes, but expect to be put on hold quite often.
The god of Mars originally made some kick-ass chocolate bars.
Yes.
True. If you meet a Martian named Martin, their name is possibly just a typo.
Yes, it's Marvin.
Mars was originally going to be called My Anus, but your anus got jealous and sued for copyright infringement. True or false?
I can't speak for
You can't speak for my anus, that's true. Ladies and gentlemen, please thank Guy Murphy. Thanks, Guy.
Thank you.